801. Okay. Hold on. Hey, buddy, this is Joseph Pasek, and welcome to the Fired Up Network. And we got the NBA playoffs just starting, and no better person to bring on than the long-range bomber, not of the Toronto Maple Leafs, formerly of the Toronto Raptors, the long-range bomber Tracy Murray, and the broadcasting legend Stormin' Norm Rumack. And Norm is very excited, Trace. He's very excited. You know why? Because the Raptors are not in the playoffs. The Raptors are not in the playoffs. Look at them bounce already, all right? And I tell them, you can't say that when Tracy Murray's on. You can say that when a dog is barking, but you can't say that when Tracy Murray's on. All right, we got the play-in, okay? The play-in tournament starts tonight, 7:30. Right now, 8th seed Atlanta versus 7th seed Orlando. Trace, you start us off. Who wins that game?
I think I'm gonna say Orlando. Orlando's got a good bunch of young talent, and I'm really curious to see what they would do in a playoff situation. See, if they can reach that next level. So I'm taking them to cool off ice tray.
All right, Norm, you give us a pick, and then I'll give you my pick.
All right. I'm going to go with Atlanta on that game. Not for any particular reason, but whatever. We'll see what happens. I mean, we saw in the NCAA tournament, right? We all had Duke, basically, and sometimes the best team doesn't win. So anyway, we'll find out. But Trace, the next game has some interesting potential with Golden State and Memphis. Memphis is a very good team. They're not a great team, but they're good enough that they can pull an upset. But can they upset Golden State?
I don't even look at it as an upset because I don't think Golden State fully has their chemistry with Jimmy Butler yet. There are some games where they're great, and then that San Antonio game pops up, and you wonder where did that one come from. So I don't really look at it as an upset if Memphis beats them. I mean, Ja Morant is outstanding. Jaren Jackson Jr., he's always playing at a high level. But I do think the experience of Golden State is going to win this series.
All right, I've got a follow-up question. It's more general. Trace, if it was the start of the season before we saw what unfolded this year, would you have imagined, or maybe you did imagine and fully expected, the Detroit Pistons and the Cleveland Cavaliers to have the kind of seasons they have? How surprised or not surprised were you by what those two franchises have done this year?
I'm surprised because they're young. When you have young teams, they're all normally a little bit selfish because they're trying to establish themselves as individuals before they jump on a championship team and try to bring their individual talent. They all want to get paid first. So I'm really surprised that the teams that are this young are at the top of their areas, and I really look forward to seeing how they mature during the playoff process.
All right. So
go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
No, go finish your thought, and then we'll start it.
Yeah, I was just going to Cade Cunningham is really getting rave reviews, and he's quite an exciting player to watch. And they're already making comparisons. At least I saw one on their broadcast in terms of looking up some numbers he's put up and stacking him against what Isaiah Thomas has done over stretches of time. How good? What's the upside for Cade Cunningham as a lead guard?
He has a huge upside. He has size. He can see over the defense. He can score the basketball. But I think everybody needs to pump their brakes right now when you start talking about comparisons to Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah has a full body of work to where Cade Cunningham doesn't have a full body of work yet. It's just the beginning. So I think everybody needs to pump their brakes on these comparisons, the way they compare players nowadays. It's like you have to allow them to continue to work for a little bit longer before you start throwing out comparisons.
All right, so let's get to the other two play-in games. Number 10, Miami taking on number 9, Chicago, and then number 10, Dallas taking on number 9, Sacramento. Norm, now you'll start us off. By the way, in case you're wondering, I'm never wrong with my predictions. If there's anybody who plays like Jolton Joe, it's Trae Young. I'm going with Atlanta, and I got to go with Steph Curry's team because Draymond Green has promised if he loses, he's going to come and kick the ass of Norm. So there you go. But let's go with Miami, Chicago, Norm.
All right, I'm gonna pick Miami. I know the Butler situation was a little bit of a disruption, but I'll go with the Miami Heat. I mean, I like their pedigree, and people talk about the Heat culture, but I think when you've got an organization and a team that's run, by Pat Riley right at the very top, I just like what they bring to the table. I could be completely wrong. I don't know. Do you agree or disagree, Tracy?
I'm going with Miami on this one too. This particular series, I mean, they have a couple of guys that's been in the playoffs before. Spoelstra's been in a championship coach. So I am taking Miami in this series.
All right, and what about the other series? The last series, Dallas and Sacramento. Trace, you'll start us off.
This one's going to be a tough one because there's no Luka in Dallas. And there's no experience in Sacramento. So this one's going to be a toss-up. I'm going to go with Sacramento on this one. Hopefully their veteran players would step up and lead them. They do have a couple of veterans that's been there before. So
and let me ask you a couple of veterans. Where did these couple of veterans, number 10, or I don't know what number he is right now?
Yep.
Some guy named DeMar
DeRozan. Yep.
Who looks like Norm like 40 years ago, Jonas Valanciunas.
And they also have Sabonis. So
yes.
I mean, you have some veterans on that team that should will them to a win.
All right, Norm, what do you say?
Well, actually, I wanted to intervene just on Sacramento. Your old teammate, Doug Christie, for now coaching Sacramento. When you played with him, did you see him as someone with coaching potential, and how do you see him now in his brief stint so far with Sacramento?
Well, anybody that's played the point guard at some point, and he was the backup point to Damon when Damon took a break. You have a high basketball IQ. You have the knowledge of who does what on your team and how to kind of help them succeed, make plays for them as well as for yourself. So, I mean, Doug has had a lot of experience of winning, with the Sacramento team back when Weber and Stojakovic and those guys and Divac. It's like he has that experience. And he is that pedigree. So, and his leadership with those teams, especially on the defensive end, I can see him, leading a bunch of men and being a coach.
All right. So, Norm, you have any final questions before after this short break? We'll be back to preview the playoffs. But Norm, do you have any final questions?
I just wanted to ask you about the Knicks because we're going to see the Knicks and Pistons.
We'll talk about it when the Knicks play. Do you have any more questions for the play-in tournament? Norm,
I do, but it's it's an important question.
All right. So hold on. We'll be back in a couple seconds where Norm is going to ask him how many pieces of pizza will Trace eat in the playoffs. We'll be back in 2 seconds, Norm, while you enjoy